It's finally here, the time we've all been waiting for. Fantasy hockey season has arrived, which means our panel of experts have done their research, watched every second of every preseason game, and are ready to draft the best teams in the history of fantasy hockey.
Give your head a shake, O'Neill.
Do you guys even have lists of last year's scores or what?
Defending regular season champion Jeff O'Neill wants to prove it was no fluke. Five-time champ Dave Hodge is always the man with the plan. Past winners Aaron Ward and Keith Jones are desperate to snap their dry spell. And Martin Biron is such a nice guy. Our 5 fantasy experts will advise you on who to take, who to avoid, which sleepers are worth a flyer, and which rookies are ready to dominate. It's all next on our 19th TSN Fantasy Draft Special.
There it is, the Bob McKenzie Memorial Trophy, named after the man who won the very first TSN Fantasy Draft in his rookie season and then retired because he said the show was stupid. He's not dead. Hello, Canada. Let me begin with a quote from the great 80s philosopher Aldo Nova. Life is just a fantasy. Can you live the fantasy life? Oh, no. Oh, no. These gentlemen are about to live the fantasy life and share it with you. Over the next hour, they will draft a team, much like you guys are doing in bars and basements across the country over the next couple of nights. No beverages here. Though mocking is encouraged, it is endorsed. We'll also try to give you a little bit of educational value. But first, let's meet your franchise owners, starting with the legend himself, Dave Hodge, 5-time champion, perennial force, one of only 2 men who's been in every single fantasy draft show.
You hang around long enough. If Bobby Hull still played in the NHL, he'd score a goal now and then. So
pretty much everybody else is begged off, but you've hung around and we appreciate you for it. The defending regular season champion who did it in his rookie season. That would be like Connor McDavid winning the Hart. The O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill.
And I'm not just sitting back on last year. I hired a management team, much like Shanny, to go through my picks this year. Looked at all different areas of the game, so I'm ready to go.
Next to him, a man who won 230 games over 16 seasons around the National Hockey League, has still not won a fantasy draft, but it's really only his 2nd season. Lost by 2 points to O-Dog last year. Marty Biron.
I don't want to set the bar too high like O-Dog. I mean, there's nowhere down for you to go now, and there's nowhere up for me to go with this, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Right. The genesis of an ugly rivalry between those two. The guy next to me, the 2014 playoff fantasy champion, and his cup hangover lasted a full year because he didn't do so good last year. It's Aaron Ward.
Speaking of hangovers, you suggested this at the top of the show we might be able to do this in a bar? Well, that would make the show. Bob might come back.
Bob might
get a lot of people joining in on this one.
And live via satellite, because he's too big now to ever join us for real, it's Keith Jones from the NBC studios in Philadelphia, the man who once took Marian Hossa first overall, and we remind him every single year, even though he's a 4-time champ. Welcome again, Jonesy.
No big surprises like that this year, James. I'm very focused and concentrating on a very good fantasy draft this year.
And a new tie to start the season. I mean, it actually has color this time.
Jonesy, if you don't follow Jonesy, 1 jacket and 1 tie usually goes through the entire year, sometimes the entire decade. So we appreciate the fashion. Let's take us back to last year, a simpler time when we were all so much more innocent, and see how things... Now, again, we have 2 fantasy drafts every year. I know it can get a little confusing. I know it's confusing because Jeff walked into the studio and said, who won last year? Jeff, you won the regular season in your rookie season, but you failed in the playoffs as Hodge came through when it mattered to win his 5th title, tying him with Darren Drager, another guy who abandoned the fantasy league and retired from it. So Hodge wins another one. He will be the all-time champion of the fantasy league. Our draft is simple. Otherwise, Dave would be the only one who would understand the rules because it's a bunch of ex-hockey players. But we've made a major change this year, which will change everything.
Each owner must draft a team of 8 players consisting of 1 goaltender, 2 defensemen, and 5 forwards. One of the 5 forwards must be a Calder-eligible rookie. Those 8 players, including the rookie, can be drafted in any round. Fantasy points will be awarded as follows. Goalies earn 2 fantasy points for a win and 1 additional point for a shutout. But we've changed the point system for skaters. All forwards and defensemen will now receive 2 fantasy points for every goal scored. That's double from what they have been awarded in the past, and it will undoubtedly raise the value of goal scorers like Steven Stamkos and Alex Ovechkin. All skaters will still earn 1 fantasy point for every assist. Trades are not allowed, but each owner can make a maximum of 3 in-season waiver transactions. The deadline for all transactions will be March 1st, one day after the NHL trade deadline. And finally, the draft order was determined by combining last year's regular season and playoff results with the worst combined score, selecting first overall. That's Aaron Ward.
So I got a little reality show hype with the rule that changes everything, but you know what I'm saying. Goals count for 2 points. That's the first time we've ever done this, so goal scorers, that's a huge deal in this draft. Again, Aaron Ward with the first overall pick because he was last overall if you combine the 2 drafts last year. Jonesy second, Biron third, Jeff O'Neill fourth, Dave Hodge. It's a snake order draft. They'll go up and down until the draft is complete. All set?
I don't like the goalies don't get a point for overtime or shootout. Let's start it the right way. The rules are not right.
He's already complaining.
3-on-3, it's not fair for goalies. They should get a point for that right away. That's the way it works.
Say again that Ward starts because he was the worst last year.
Aaron Ward,
They put my
after a disastrous performance from last season. Okay, as commissioner, dictator, whatever you want to call it, of the 2015-16 fantasy draft, I officially declare the draft underway. Team Wardo, you are on the clock with the first selection.
And with that, I'll give a little ode to Pierre Maguire. I am proud to select with the first selection Alexander Ovechkin from the Washington Capitals. And I don't think I need to really explain the idea that we're getting 2 points for goals. This is a guy that's ultimately the Cy Young Award winner from all of the players available. He blows his goal total away past his assists. 6 of the last 9 seasons, non-lockout seasons, he put up 50+. His durability is there in the same time period. He's only not played north of, 80 games once. So,
first time ever, which is hard to imagine that first time ever Ovi has gone first overall in our TSN regular season fantasy pool draft 2015-16. Crosby had done it 3 times, Malkin a couple times, and let's bring it up again. 2008-2009, Marian Hossa goes first overall to Keith Jones. So here is Jonesy with the number 2 overall selection.
Well, last year, James, I took Jamie Benn, and all he did was lead the National Hockey League in points. Now, with the new system, I'm taking his teammate, Tyler Seguin, because of the goal scoring. Benn, the passer, Seguin, the goal scorer. I think he's sitting on a huge year and feel very comfortable taking him with the 2nd overall pick. The Bruins also felt comfortable when they took him with the 2nd overall pick going back a few years ago. They soured on him. I have not, and I think he's going to continue to haunt the Boston Bruins with another great season for the Dallas Stars.
Your Ben pick was good last year. Wardo had Seguin last year, picked him 3rd. Those were both really good selections. So just to give you an idea, these are adjusted to our rules this year. So if goals counted for 2 points, Ovechkin would have had a monster season last season, 134. Seguin would have had pretty good at 114. And the points per game on the right, because there were guys like Malkin who did not play as much. So that's the difference it makes with 2 points for a goal scorer. To number 3 overall, and Martin Biron.
I can't believe I'm about to say it at number 3. I'm going to pick Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know James, Commissioner James, can I call you that?
Yes, you can.
Said I'm a nice guy, but you guys shouldn't take it easy on me. I can't believe you're going to let this guy slip to that point. He had 100+ points 2 years ago. Obviously, this team in Pittsburgh is going to be based on offense with the addition of Phil Kessel, Malkin. You're going to have to score goals to win games, and Crosby's going to be in the middle of this. He could get to 50 goals for the first time in his career. So I think that would be really, really exciting to see what Crosby can do.
He did drop to a career low of goals per game, 0.36 last year. So Marty counting on the rebound.
Let him think we're taking it easy on him. He's just slow.
Jeff O'Neill, you are at number 4, second last pick of the first round.
I'm going to go back to Pittsburgh and take Geno Malkin. And I can only hope that this guy doesn't disappear on me for 20-game segments like he has done in the past. I hope that he can turn back the clock to 2011, where he had 50 goals, 59 assists, and 109 points. I believe he won the Hart Trophy that year. I just hope he tees up one-timers on the power play all year long and gets me goals.
It's hard to criticize any picks in the first first round because you're all getting superstars. Dave Hodge, you can wrap it up.
I really wanted a #1 draft pick, but they wouldn't let me take Ovechkin or Crosby, so I'm going to take John Tavares of the New York Islanders, draft class of 2009. He came within seconds, literally, of a scoring title last season. I think he's due that Art Ross trophy this time to follow up and surpass his career best totals, 38 goals, 86 points. He did that while playing without his favorite line mate Kyle Opozo for a quarter of the season. Sky's the limit if they stay together this time.
Only thing wrong with that round is there really wasn't any picks worth mocking because you all did a fairly good job. But I really don't think that'll last beyond the second or third round. So lots more ahead. Let's predictably get past the first and those obvious selections. All forwards drafted so far. Who will be the top goalie, the top D-man, and the top rookie taken, we'll find out shortly. And speaking of rooks, we'll talk to one of last year's top newcomers, Johnny Gaudreau, stops by with his own fantasy advice.
This young man is only 5'9" and 150 pounds. Boy, does he know how to play a man's game.
Scores! Johnny Gaudreau!
There's Johnny Gaudreau on the doorstep.
If he gets in behind you, forget it. You'll never get to him.
And here's Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey, who was second on the Flames last year in scoring, third in the Calder voting, led all rookies in assists and power play goals, and most importantly, helped Jeff O'Neill win the regular season pool. After a season like that, Johnny, what do you have planned for an encore?
Yeah, it's an exciting season coming up here. For me, I think, just make sure, I'm helping my team as much as I can and trying to help Jeff too.
Well, he hasn't picked you yet this year. How many points can we pencil you in for this year? I know players don't like to say, but come on, it's a fantasy draft show. Give me your numbers.
Not sure about that. I'm hoping just, to have another good year this year like I did last. And, if I can get a few more than I did last year, that'd be perfect. But, making sure the team's winning as well at the same time.
The Flames, of course, were the surprise team of last year to everybody except our Aaron Ward, who had you guys making the playoffs, and he was proved correct by that. Now you've added Dougie Hamilton, you've added Michael Frolik. How far can this team go, knowing the expectations are now higher?
Yeah, I think for us, we need to build off what we finished with last year. We were pretty happy with the way our season went, but we weren't satisfied with the way it ended. And with those two big pickups, it's just going to help us in the long run. And, the guys are really excited and amped to get the season going here. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Now, Johnny, I know you play fantasy football, but let's imagine you played fantasy hockey for a second. Who would you be targeting perhaps in your draft?
There'd probably be a lot of players I'd go after. But I think for me, my favorite player when just watching the past, 5-10 years in the NHL would be Patrick Kane. I think he's a guy that, would definitely help your team.
Kane's a good one, and this year we've changed the rules so that goals count for twice as much as assists. So knowing that, who do you think might be a great pick who's just going to score a ton of goals this year? I
think, on my team at least, I think Michael Ferland, he's got a real hard shot. He's aggressive in the zone, and he finds a way to get the puck to the net. And I think he's going to have a pretty good season this year.
Okay, I don't know if Ferland's going in the draft, but standing up for a teammate, that's good. Who's the best player you've played against so far?
Yeah, I got to play against a lot of teams last year and play against a lot of good players. And I think for me it was probably those skilled defensemen. The Chicago Blackhawks, probably Duncan Keith. He's probably one of the better ones that I got to play against, and it's exciting to play against players like that throughout the season.
Now, I know you mentioned Ferland, but maybe give me one other teammate who you think is a sleeper who could be in for a great year and the guys might want to choose.
I would say Chris Russell. He's a great leader on our team, and he does a lot of things defensively really well, but he's a pretty offensive guy as well, and you can tell in practice the way he skates, the way he shoots the puck, and the way he makes plays, and he's someone that I'd have my eye on throughout the season there.
All right, Johnny, best of luck this season.
Yeah, thank you.
Way to go, guys. All these Ovechkins and Crosbys. Nobody takes Ferland in the first round, which is a massive upset from Johnny Gaudreau. I loved Ferland last year in the playoffs. Chris Russell, a good player too, but we're in round number 2, so it's basically superstars only. And Dave Hodge in our snake draft goes next.
Well, that thing about number 1 draft picks, I think I should just go ahead and take the most recent one because we need one rookie. But even if that wasn't a requirement, I might take Connor McDavid here anyway. Do you mind? I figure he gets a point a game if things go as expected, and they might go better than expected. All really I need him to be is the highest scoring rookie, of course, to justify this pick. I would like to thank Connor McDavid for not wasting any goals on meaningless exhibition games. I get all of them that he's going to score.
Did get 5 assists. So we got a point a game, but didn't get those valuable goal worth 2 points. Anybody shocked that a rookie went this early? I guess it's a special rookie,
I kicked it around as the first overall selection.
Really?
That would have had taken some jam to take him first overall.
Well, let's see who you take
And I
7th
didn't want to
overall. Jeff O'Neill?
I feel a little bit like Tim Murray right now going into this. I wanted my man Connor McDavid, and I get Jack Eichel. But watching Jack Eichel in the preseason, I'm not that disappointed. This guy showed with his skating ability, his ability to break free, and that shot that he is going to be an effective rookie in the National Hockey League. He's got that stride. We've all seen it breaking away right here. It looks like he's not even trying. And he blows by everyone, and you see that wrist shot. A lot of goals for Jack Eichel. I'm not that disappointed I don't have McDavid.
If he's not even trying, he belongs on your team.
That's right.
2 goals and 4 assists, so he did outpoint McDavid as far as our standings go in that preseason. Marty Biron, after 2 rookies go, you're at number 8 overall.
I'm going to take somebody that was an outstanding rookie last year. Vladimir Tarasenko is coming to my team. I think this is a guy that's going to challenge for the scoring title this year. St. Louis is going to play a little bit loosey-goosey, and 3-on-3 for this type of skilled player is going to be amazing. So I love bringing that type of player, everything that he can do, and staying up late watching the West Coast game. I usually don't do that. I go to bed early. Now I'm going to have to watch him play out West, and it's going to be great.
All right, Keith Jones, you are at number 9.
Ryan Johansson of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'm big on the Jackets, and a big reason for that is Johansson's strong play. He's been there for all of training camp this year. Unlike last season, I think he gets off to a good start. I think Columbus is loaded with talent on the wings, and that should bode well at the center ice position for Johansson. I think snipes with the best of them. Looks like a young Ryan Getzlaf to me, and I'm looking forward to watching him this year.
Another good selection. And so, Aaron Ward, you are the last person that has a chance to screw up and get mocked in the first 2 rounds of our draft.
And I'm going to complete that opportunity. I'll finish off. Just to match my first selection, another no chance to win a Selke candidate, Phil Kessel, is my final selection in the second round. Phil is a very durable guy. He's played all 82 games in 4 seasons. For me, I'm looking at this. He's going to Pittsburgh. Maybe Sidney Crosby, maybe Malkin want to welcome him to town. Throw him a few softballs. We know he can put the puck in the net. And now he's playing a style and guys that really can put him in a good situation.
I sat here last year doing all these Leaf games, and I think you criticized Phil Kessel in probably every single one of them.
My first 2 selections, I've torn them to shreds, so I'm actually thinking there might be a theme here. The all-hater team.
The all guys that Warno has ripped are now on his team. 2 rounds in the books. Let's continue on. We'll take a break and get you back for round number 3. Still not a single defenseman or a single goaltender taken. We'll see what round 3 brings there. And always a handful of players that take a step backwards. We'll warn you, a few of our players you might want to think about twice in buyer beware. Kids, if you like the interweb, head over to tsn.ca and sign up for TSN's fantasy hockey game. Free to play. You can join a public or private group. Invite your friends. Go head-to-head for bragging rights. tsn.ca/fantasy hockey to sign up today. Now, the lazy way to do a fantasy draft, and thus the way most of our competitors did it, is to just go on and check out last year's scoring standings and basically draft the same way. But that is a trap. There are numerous players who should have a stamp on their sweater that reads, buyer beware. Yuri Hoodler scored a career-high 31 goals and 76 points for the Flames while shooting 19.6%. He plays with skilled line mates in Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan, but chances are Hoodler doesn't keep up that high shooting percentage. His career average is 15.1%. A decrease in shooting percentage usually means a drop in production. Tyler Bozak matched a career high with 49 points last season, but without Phil Kessel on his wing, it's tough to see him putting up strong numbers like that this year. Bozak's ice time may also drop as the Leafs look to Nazem Kadri more as their top center.
Daniel and Henrik Sedin enjoyed a bounce-back season last year after their scoring rates fell dramatically the previous season. They are 35 years old now, and the Canucks look like a team headed in the wrong direction in terms of scoring. Daniel's shooting percentage is 8.2% over the past seasons, so his days as a premier goal scorer appear to be over. Nick Foligno erupted for 73 points in Columbus last year, a huge jump for a player whose previous high was 47 back in 2011-12. Playing with Ryan Johansson certainly helps, but his percentages spiked last season, and he would be hard-pressed to reach those numbers again. Matt Bolesky was one of the prized offseason acquisitions by the Boston Bruins, the physical winger coming off a career season with 22 goals. But the 27-year-old had career bests in percentages, which usually means a downturn is coming. He also had a history of injuries, never playing more than 70 games in a season.
And with that, we put chips on the shoulders of several players who are now going to be angry with us. It's round number 3, still no goalies and defensemen taken. Aaron Ward, whose team name is Guys I Rip Constantly, has the 11th overall selection.
I think you're onto something going into commercial. So sticking with the theme of the all-hater team, I'm going to go with Erik Karlsson. It's not that I actually hate him, but I did tear him to shreds to start the season for the way he performed. And then, in the famous words of Harry Dunn, he totally redeemed himself. All he needed was Mark Mathot to come back. He got comfortable, and he just started tearing the league up. This guy has unlimited potential. Around him, he has a team that was young. There's a little more season, and maybe he can just blow the doors off this season.
So first defenseman is off the board in Erik Karlsson. That brings us to Keith Jones and the second pick of round number 3. Jonesy.
I'm going to go with next year's captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Steven Stamkos. We're talking about a motivated player here. There's no question about it. His contract lies in the balance. Steve Yzerman so far unable to get him back in the mix for a multi-year deal with the Lightning. We know he can score. He's as pure as they get in that department. And I think having that little chip on his shoulder is going to go a long way for Steven Stamkos' totals this year.
Another guy, it's surprising he went that low, considering he could easily win the Rocket Richard and score 50, which would be 100 points for you guys, but had a low 29 assists last year, which maybe put him down our standings. So Stamkos goes at number 12, Marty Biron at number 13.
I'm going to go with last season's scoring champion, Jamie Benn, the Dallas Stars. Only 87 points. I think he can do better, especially with the way Lindy Ruff coaches that team. It's all about offense. Him and Taylor Seguin have great chemistry, and he's just a pure sniper. So for me, again, the goal marks is going to count on this. So I love what he's been doing. And again, I'm going to stay up late because I got to watch St. Louis, so might as well pick a Dallas Stars to add to the line. But before we keep going, I got to make a correction because I've made many mistakes in my career, and I made one earlier today.
Okay.
I said Crosby had never scored more than 50, and he did in 2009-10. But in my defense, my therapist said you have to forget everything that year with the New York Islanders that happened because it was such a crap year. So, I mean, I forgot about it.
You also keep talking like Dallas and St. Louis are on the West Coast. You're not really staying up that late to watch.
Hey, wait. He said we're supposed to be taking it easy on him.
Take it easy on him.
Let him.
I go to bed at 9:30.
Central time.
I love those California teams, the Stars and the Blues.
The Oceans
Listen,
in Dallas.
Who do they play? They play L.A., San Jose, Vancouver. There it is.
We're just giving you a hard time.
Wouldn't that be the Mississippi, not the Pacific in St. Louis?
Jeff O'Neill, go ahead.
Jake Voracek for the Philadelphia Flyers. A lot of my players, I look at projections, what they did last year. Can they improve on that? I don't want this guy to do anything different. If you can increase your goal total from 21 or 22 it was, then great. But get me 81 points, and he can do it. Playing alongside Claude Giroux, these guys are dynamite, especially on special teams. It was a breakout year for Voracek. I expect the same this year.
He was 19 points better than his previous career high. Dave Hodge, you can end the round.
Marty, as a therapist, you have a management team. I have experience, and it brings me to select Corey Perry of the Anaheim Ducks. You know, I have decided that I want to have the most decorated team in the history of this fantasy league. I've already got 2 #1 picks. I'm now going for a Hart Trophy winner. Come to think of it, he's a Richard Trophy winner as well. Top scorer on a Ducks team that is getting a lot of support as the Stanley Cup favorite. He helped me win the playoff pool last season. No reason he should stop helping me or helping himself to goals and assists.
Yes, another one of our gimmicky shows that we did last night, the season preview. The Ducks were the consensus pick to win the Stanley Cup. So Corey Perry goes from there, and Dave Hodge, you will have from the last pick in round 3, the first pick in round number 4.
As you especially know, James, I have often chosen the captain of the San Jose Sharks.
Right, Joe.
Joe Thornton. Well, 2 things. Goals count for more than assists, and he's an assist guy. And 2, he's not the Sharks captain anymore. So I'm taking the guy who is. Joe Pavelski, because he is a goals guy. He tied for 5th in the league last season, and he was second to Ovechkin in power play goals. And there is no reason San Jose's power play shouldn't be good again, because Joe's on it. Joe Thornton will have the assists, and Joe Pavelski will score the goals just like last year.
41 and 37 goals, yes, the past 2 seasons for Joe Pavelski. Jeff O'Neill.
I'm going to start rounding out my defense core with PK Subban of the Montreal Canadiens. You show me a D-man that gets 60 points, I want him on my roster. And like a stupid GM, I believe that every one of my guys is going to have career years. And I could see PK Subban doing that this year. This guy's got a cannon from the point. A lot of their offense, much like Carlson in Ottawa, starts and ends with PK Subban.
Marty Biron.
Well, I'm learning from experience now, and I'm going to go with Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks, because not only did he win the Stanley Cup, he was on Team Hodge, and he won the fantasy season last year. So I'm looking at this guy who led the league in points before he unfortunately broke his collarbone. Just this pure skill with number 88 and the chemistry that he's had with so many different players on the Chicago Blackhawks. It doesn't matter if you put Jonathan Toews with him or anybody. He'll make Artem Anisimov look good, and in return, he'll have all these goals to account for. So I look for Patrick Kane to have a good year, just like you said. I think all my players will have career years as well.
Let's take us back to Philadelphia and Keith Jones. Keith?
Time for my rookie, Sam Bennett of the Calgary Flames. And I have to give Wardo credit. He had the Flames last year, of course, making the playoffs. Bennett, a guy that showed up come playoff time after missing much of last year with injury. I thought he was terrific under extreme pressure. I think he's going to be very good this year. I think that experience last year, the taste of the playoffs, will motivate him. I think he's going to pick up some points for the Flames.
Bold and great pick. Only 1 regular season game, but 4 points in 11 playoff games for Calgary. And Jonesy's right. He fit in really well. Aaron Ward, you have the 20th overall selection and the last one of round number 4.
I'm breaking my streak. I have no reason to hate this guy. Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Maybe because I didn't watch a single Coyotes game to actually find anything to find fault with, but this is a guy that was the #1 scorer amongst defensemen last year. So now with this, I have the #1 and #2 defensemen in Carlson and Ekman-Larsson. Ekman-Larsson, it's not a very deep D-core, so he gets out there every power play, every end of the game, every opportunity.
You should have talked to Marty, because he watches every game out west.
No,
stays up late every night. Okay.
Central West Coast.
Time for another break. This has been pretty easy, the first 20 picks, let's face it. This is where it gets interesting, the back half of the draft. And we still wait for our first goalie. Isn't Carey Price the best netminder in the world, one of the best players? Not taken yet. We'll see where the Vezina and Hart Trophy winner gets taken, if he does. And later, we'll unveil our sleeper picks for the upcoming season. Supposed to be the most important position in the game. Marty Biron tells me that every day, and yet all of the goalies are still available. What we did was take last year's numbers and put our fantasy numbers to them. That's 2 points for a win, 1 point for a shutout. Carey Price, 97 points. Braden Holtby, second at 91. All of these guys still on the board. That's the commissioner's way of giving you guys a big hint to maybe take a goaltender as we get to round number 5. Will Aaron Ward listen? He's never listened to anything else I've told him. You may begin.
I'm going to go with Rick Nash. So, no, I'm not going to listen. And it continues the theme of the all-hater team. Actually, over the course of playoffs 2 years ago, Ray and I were actually fighting for all the video because it was just such a layup. But last year, such an incredible performance for a guy that this year will be so sorely needed. That top line will be needed. 42 goals last season. This is a New York Rangers team that's got Hagelin gone. I figure that Nash has got to step up and put up some big numbers.
Okay, so he didn't listen to my goaltending advice.
Nope.
Let's see if Jonesy will listen from Philly. Jonesy?
No chance. I'll take a defenseman, Shea Weber, and much like Rick Nash, he wasn't available in the playoffs for the Nashville Predators. Regular season choice, great job by Bordeaux there with Nash. He'll be great in that department. Playoff time, not so much. For Weber, he was injured. He's all about goals. He's got the blast from the point. Looking forward to watching him fill the net for the Nashville Predators. They need goals, and he can provide it.
45 points last year was his lowest points per game, .58 in the last 5 years. So maybe due for a rebound year. Surely Marty Biron will choose the first goaltender in the draft. Marty Biron, which goalie would you like to?
In reality, I would listen to you, James, but this is fantasy. So I'm going to put the goalies away, and I'm going to go with a defenseman. Brent Burns of the San Jose Sharks. There's a defenseman that can play forward as well, so I'm getting more bang for my buck right here. He could play in front of the net on the power play, and he's got that great shot. And I do believe that at some point this season, Brent Burns is going to be on the line with Joe Thornton and possibly Pavelski, get all these points, free points, playing forward, but counted as a D. So I'm going with Brent Burns. Love his beard. I can't grow the beard, so I'm going with him.
It's almost a legal way of cheating. Getting a half a forward is actually a defense. A loophole in the system. Jeff O'Neill at number 24 overall.
Loophole?
No. Let's clarify.
No.
That's not going to happen. Jeff.
Mark Giordano of the Calgary Flames. I think we could all agree that last year he left the injury. I believe he was leading the league in defenseman scoring. Probably cost him the Norris Trophy as well. And this guy does everything for the Calgary Flames. Wardo, a few days ago, you talked about a shot from the point. He's got a cannon back there. All the offense from back at that D is from their captain, Mark Giordano. And once again, career year for the captain of the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, all your guys are going to. You're probably going to win this pool by 100 points.
But I can see how GMs get sucked into a belief because I'm just looking at these guys. I'm like, this guy's going to be so good for me this year. I love it.
We would love to see you as an actual NHL GM. That would be the greatest reality show ever. Here's Dave Hodge.
Most decorated team ever. I should have a Conn Smythe Trophy winner, and I need a defenseman. Duncan Keith of the Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks seems an easy pick here. Doesn't score as many goals as I might like, but for all of his ice time, he will certainly get the opportunities, and I know the points will be there. Twice in his career, he has had 55 assists. I'll take that again. I see him scoring some 3-on-3 goals. I don't know why. So Duncan Keith.
So we have a run on defensemen, 4 straight defensemen, as nobody listens to me and takes a goaltender. So we go through 5 rounds, 25 players without a goalie being selected. Dave, you may start round number 6.
Carey Price.
Thank you, Dave.
You happy now?
Thank you.
Led the league in goals against average, save percentage, and wins. Won the Hart Trophy. Did I say I'm building a team with a silverware collection? Vezina Trophy as well. Here, you might as well have that one too, Carey. I'm interested to see which goalie goes second here. If I was not in a position to take Carey Price, I didn't know what I was going to do, and now I'll never know. Because Carey Price is my goalie.
Okay, Jeff O'Neill, you may follow.
I got to slip back into Tim Murray mode and kind of get the second best guy. You take Carey Price, and I'll take Pekka Rinne from the Nashville Predators. I know Braden Holtby was out there, but he's not proven enough for me. He's got to do it over and over. But Pekka Rinne, everything speaks for itself. I mean, if you look at the Nashville Predators, they go nowhere without this guy. 41 wins last season. Tied for second among goalies with Holtby. 36 career shutouts. Just keep doing that for me and I'll be happy.
Yeah, guy's a player. Marty Biron, 2 guys have taken goaltenders before you.
Well, for a second there, I thought he was going Robin Lehner, being Tim Murray, but no, I think that's an excellent pick. Dog, I'm going to go another defenseman who is also a forward at time, Dustin Byfuglien, the Winnipeg Jets. I love what he's been doing with the Jets, going again in front of net on the power play. Got that big shot, which I've seen many times, hit me in the head a couple of times, and I haven't recovered from that. But again, this is a player that just kind of does his own thing. He's the typical rover on the ice, I should say. And, 3-on-3, it's going to be very important to have that guy possibly play 2 or 3 minutes of 3-on-3 time. He doesn't work as hard as some of the other players, so that's why he'll be on the ice a lot.
I don't want Big Buff playing 2 or 3 minutes of 3-on-3. You give me 30-second spurts and get off.
He could get a lot of whistles. Marty could have 7 forwards on his team by the end of the year if they give up on Buff and Burns and put them up front, which would be something else. Jonesy, we're back to you with the second to last pick in round number 6.
I'm going with Claude Giroux with the Philadelphia Flyers. The points speak for themselves. He's a tremendous competitor as well, but goal scoring, something that Claude Giroux can also do. Flyers power play has been outstanding over the last 4 or 5 seasons, and it runs through their captain, number 28. Giroux looking for a strong season this year. If the Flyers were to make the playoffs, he's going to have to put up huge numbers. He's predicted they will, so I'll go with him and his point totals.
Yeah, it's one of the standards of our draft, as Dave usually picks Joe Thornton, probably not this year. And Jonesy's always good for a couple of Flyers. It is his hometown. He does a lot of work calling those games. Aaron Ward is the final pick of round number 6.
Artemi Panarin, Chicago Blackhawks. It satisfies my rookie forward that I have to pick, given the fact that now we have Versteeg, Richards, Sharp, Saad, Vermette, all gone from the Chicago Blackhawks lineup. Somebody's got to step in. I almost feel like I'm cheating here. He's a bit of an older player, played a few years over in the Russian league. And given that Chicago has a high level of skill around him, you got to think that this is a guy that's going to put up some points now that McDavid and Eichel so easily went
That's
early.
a YouTube pick. That's a YouTube pick. You saw that and you're like, oh.
There's only one clip.
I know, but that was pretty
only
good.
Only one clip. That's all you base it on. So.
That was a pretty good clip, though.
In
YouTube
a
pick.
tight-checking preseason game.
Absolutely.
Okay, we are moving on, and just 2 more rounds left for the guys, so we'll fulfill the needs that they all have. They have numerous needs, but we're just talking fantasy draft needs. A lot of great players still available, as there always are in our draft. Also, when we come back, what you've all been waiting for, the sleeper pick. Salmon? The sleeper picks for 2015-16. Counting down the hours to the regular season. And our first Leafs game comes your way Friday, October 16th, 7 o'clock Eastern Time as they take on Ryan Johansson, already selected in our fantasy draft show, and the Columbus Blue Jackets on TSN 4, 7 o'clock Eastern Time in the Leafs region. To win a fantasy draft or a pool like this, it's not usually the Crosbys or Ovechkins or Stamkos that get it done. It's that late sleeper pick that surprises everybody. Here's a few potential ones from this season. Alex Semin is a 3-time 30-goal scorer who is coming off a career-worst season with just 6 goals and 19 points. But the skilled 31-year-old is now playing on Montreal's second line beside talented youngster Alex Galchenyuk. And he'll probably get a fair share of power play time for the goal-starved Habs. Stan Barchi scored only 28 points over 66 games with the Flames over 4 seasons. But now he's with the Canucks, and GM Jim Benning talked about Barchi being a potential top 6 forward. Chris Higgins suffered a broken foot in camp, and that might open the door for the former first-round pick to earn a role on the top 2 lines right from the start of the season. Adam Larsson was buried on the Devils' depth chart for years until the Devils made a coaching change last season. Larsson's ice time and production improved immediately with 15 points in 35 games after the All-Star break. The talented first-rounder appears to have turned a corner and may be ready to contribute offensively. Nail Yakupov has just 88 points through his first 3 seasons in Edmonton, but don't write him off just yet. He is celebrating his 22nd birthday today, and he showed some offensive ability with 20 points in his last 28 games last season when he was paired with Derek Roy. He won't go early, but the former first overall pick still has a high ceiling. Artem Anisimov was traded from Columbus, where he had only 7 goals and 27 points last year, to Chicago in the offseason. Now the talented Russian is looking to land a spot on the top 2 lines after the Hawks were forced to clean house and dump salaries. He's got the skills to thrive on a very strong offensive team. Valer Nichushkin is only 20 years old, but he may be overlooked because he played just 8 games last year and scored only 1 point. But the highly skilled winger may end up on the Stars' top line alongside Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. And even if he's on the second line, he's got Jason Spezza to set him up. There's a good chance the guys in your pool haven't given him a second thought. Wardo almost became the first guy ever to quit in the middle of a draft because we included Alexander Semin in our sleeper picks. That would be the ultimate guy for your team of guys you've ripped in the past. None of those guys probably get picked in our draft because we only have 40 players, but a lot of you I know have pools and fantasy drafts that go a lot deeper, so some sleeper picks for you potentially there. Aaron Ward, you can take Semin if you want in round number 7 with the 31st overall selection.
I'm actually going to go with a different guy that I've actually been pretty critical of. If I'm going to continue with great players who I've just torn to shreds, I'm going to go with a goalie, and I will then now allow Marty Biron to pick the man.
Well, I'm going to say Marc-Andre Fleury.
And he is correct.
There you go.
64 games last year. I figure if you're going to go all the way. Like when Jimmy gets his hair colored brown, he goes for chestnut. And Marc-Andre Fleury, for me, I don't always have the confidence in him, but the team in front of him, I have a feeling in a weaker Eastern Conference, they're going to put up some big numbers. They're going to get the wins. I'm not banking on any shutouts, but I do feel as though he'll keep me in the game with some victories.
I don't color it. It's plugs. They come that way. The plugs come that way.
That was for the Miami Vice comment last night during the season preview.
Well, you had a white suit on. It's October.
Cream.
Sorry, let's leave our stuff out of the show. Jonesy, I think, is up next. Jonesy.
Leave style to me, fellas. I'm taking a defenseman that's got a lot of style. Victor Hedman, we watched him last year in the finals. This guy's awesome. I can't believe he's still available, to be honest with you. Duncan Keith, great. Victor Hedman, soon to be great. I think we saw a lot out of him last year offensively. I think he continues to grow. I think the Lightning are going to score a bunch of goals. Pretty confident defender that is not afraid to jump up and join the rush.
I love that pick. I've loved most of Jonesy's picks this year. No favoritism. I've enjoyed all of your selections, but usually I'm ripping Jonesy. Marty, go ahead.
You're going to love this one because I'm going to go back to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League alumni, Nikolai Ehlers. And for the simple fact that he doesn't want to be called Nick Ehlers anymore, and he's made that strong stand right now as a rookie. I love that when guys do it, but more importantly, he had 205 points in his last 2 seasons in junior hockey. He's got the speed, he's got the highlight reel tape, not just one YouTube clip, Wardo, but a lot of YouTube clips. And, you know, you got to pick a rookie and got to stick with Winnipeg because I had to pick him to go to a conference final last year, and that didn't work, so I'm going to go with Ehlers this time.
One of 3 rookies on the Jets, but let me clarify. You're picking him because he shortened his name from Nick?
No,
Nikolai.
he changed. Everybody's calling him Nick, and he says, no, it's Nikolai. It's like me. People call me Marty, and I say, no,
that's
it's
a
not
5-point name.
He's a goalie. He's a goalie.
That's a good strategy. Jeff O'Neill, you're up.
I'm going to go with Sean Monahan of the Calgary Flames. You mentioned junior hockey, Marty. I'm going to give you a classic junior hockey general manager line. I can't believe you were available right here, and I wanted to take you earlier. This guy's a flat-out stud. Went from 22 goals as an 18-year-old, 31 last year.
Going to have a career year.
You know it. You know he's going to break through and have a career year. I love the chemistry of this line mate. Sean Monahan's my pick.
Dave Hodge, the final selection of round number 7.
As you know, I like sure things, and this isn't. It's a bit of a reach. My second defenseman will be Aaron Ekblad of the Florida Panthers. Did I mention I like number 1 draft picks and trophy winners? Calder in this case. He'll have to step up his point production, I know, or this pick might seem wrong, but I think he can, and I think the Panthers will show some improvement as well. And I need him to lower the draft age of my team because as the general manager, I'm a big weight pulling in the other direction.
Well, plus, but he looks 35. He's looked 35 since he was 16 years old.
And I look
35. Okay, so what we're going to do is take a break. I'll tell you guys exactly what you need to do with your last pick. You have to fulfill some holes on your roster. 2 teams still need a goaltender. Which one of them will end up with the King of New York? We'll find out next. Ottawa Senators had a historic finish to last season to get to the playoffs. The Buffalo Sabres did not have a great season, but man, it looks promising this year with Eichel and O'Reilly and company. That is our opening game for folks in the Sens region on TSN 5, Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time from Buffalo. Okay, here we go. The final round. Hodge, O'Neill, Ward need forwards. Biron and Jones need goalies by my calculations. So, Dave Hodge, who is your forward to fill out your roster? I bet he's won a trophy at some point.
You know what? Zach Parise of the Minnesota Wild has not, but my most decorated team ever, I had to look this up. He was an all-star at the Vancouver Olympics in 2010.
Doesn't count.
And Sidney Crosby wasn't. He's a good scorer on a team that I think will improve. You know, if you care, look at all those names. North Americans, all of them.
Oh, thanks, Don. You worked with Grapes for a while, so I guess you rubbed off. Jeff O'Neill, you also require a forward.
Johnny Hockey from the Calgary Flames, my management team and myself discussed loyalty is going to be a big factor in some of these picks. And this guy helped me last year win the regular season with 64 points as a rookie. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if he led the National Hockey League in scoring this year.
You know what? He sucked up to you in the interview, and he mentioned, I'm going to try and help Jeff this year, even though he hadn't picked him, so you felt obligated to pick him. You have 3 Flames, by the way. Jeff is the all...
Who are going to tie for the NHL scoring lead, apparently.
Johnny Hockey's got to have a career season. Marty Biron, you require... Marty Biron, the goalie, the man who defends the profession every day on our network, leaves his goalie to last. Who do you want?
And I've got the best one available, Braden Holtby of the Washington Capitals. This guy could be a Vezina Trophy winner this year. I had Carey Price last year. He did win the Vezina and the Hart and all of that. So Holtby this year for me. And I kind of had a little bit of collusion there because I threw Fleury Wardo's way. I don't know if he wanted him, but I wanted Holtby. And this is what. But look at this team. I mean, these players are all studs. It might as well give me the trophy right now. And you know, Jeff. back-to-back rookies to win the trophy last year.
You're not a rookie anymore.
No, but no, we came in the same time.
He's a goalie.
I'm so confused.
Let him go. Let him just go with it.
Whole West Coast things and
Central
rookie
West
when
Coast.
he's not a rookie. And okay, so that leaves Jonesy and Henrik Lundqvist, who's up there in the conversation for best goal. I don't want to give you any hints, but you need a goalie, and Henrik Lundqvist is out there. So go ahead, take Henrik Lundqvist and end this thing. Go ahead, Jonesy.
I was going to take him, James, but Marty Biron used to play with Henrik Lundqvist, and he just told me Braden Holtby was the best goaltender available. I had a Lundqvist, so I'm kind of shaking my head. I guess I'll go with Sergei Bobrovsky then. I mean, he's still out there. He won a Vezina. He's an outstanding goaltender, and the Blue Jackets are going to win more games than the Rangers this year, so I'll go with Sergei Bobrovsky.
Wow.
That's a tough
Jonesy always has he's a good goalie.
Frederick Anderson was available
the
playoffs last year.
Lundqvist does not get taken. Wardo, finish the draft for us.
I've got to take a forward. I'm going to call this the Haji Memorial pick. Thornton didn't go.
Okay.
So I've got to take one of the Sedins. So Daniel is my choice from Vancouver. Obviously, we all know where they play.
Right.
I mean, there's no true reason behind it.
Right.
I have a look at my team. He pointed out they're all North American, Canadian. What'd you have? All North Americans?
Yeah.
I've got United Nations. I've got 2 Russians, 3 Swedes. I still don't understand what nationality has to do with it, but I'll go with it.
I should clarify, I called it the Bob McKenzie Memorial Trophy. He just called it the Dave Hodge Memorial.
They're all
pick.
both
They
alive.
are still alive, as far as we know. We haven't seen Bob in a day or so. We'll take a break and wrap things up here on the 45th annual. No, it's actually the 19th TSN Fantasy Draft Special. 19 times we've done this. Gentlemen, you might want to avoid Twitter because you'll have lots of people saying, how could you not take guys like this? Henrik Lundqvist, Jonathan Quick, Ryan Getzlaf, maybe the most shocking for all the players there. But again, when there's only 5 forwards, including a rookie taken, there's going to be some really good players left on the board. That list this year. Let's say goodbye to Jonesy. Jonesy, is this the year you tie Dave Hodge with a record 5th championship?
It is. This is the best team I've ever assembled. I feel very confident about it.
Jonesy, thank you. We'll keep in touch during the year. We don't see Jonesy much except for our fantasy drafts. There's the trophy between the regular season champion and the playoff champion.
You should see the things you can do with that trophy.
Well, in fact, in honor of the Blue Jays, we're going to put the goggles on and fill it with champagne, and the rest of the day is going to be fun.
Marty Biron's already penning an apology letter to Lundqvist for not picking him. Is that all right?
That's all right. I
That's
go with you.
brutal.
It's your best friend. I thought you would pick him, but
I want to be like Jeff Probst on Survivor. Doesn't need to be for those immunity challenges. Say, I want the necklace back or whatever. Give me the trophy. It's not yours anymore. It's time to move on. It's up for grabs.
I can't touch it.
Wardo doesn't.
haven't won
Gary's
it.
already had it. Here it is, the McKenzie Memorial Trophy, up for grabs.
I didn't know plastic was that heavy.
This year. It's worth about $4. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. As I say every single year, may all your fantasies come true, at least the hockey variety anyway. Can't wait for the season to start. Go on to tsn.ca and keep track of these guys, how they're doing throughout the year, and mock them when you beat them. Thanks for watching here on TSN.